All right, hello, my friends. Welcome to another Heart and Hustle. Visionaries, healers, movers, and shakers. And I am your host, Paulette Rees-Denis, your author, lifestyle coach, international global dance teacher, and podcast person. And I'm so excited to bring you Shari Foos today. We're only just meeting for the first time, although I have known about you for a while. And I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great. We were just talking about our beautiful big glasses because these are new and I'm still getting used to them. But it's so great. For those of you who are new to the podcast, this is going on my 7th year of having this
Nice.
podcast. I know, I love it. And I just love bringing you magical people who are creating change, living the life of their dreams, going through hustles as well as heart movements to bring their magic to the world. Because I truly believe that we want to live in everyday magic. And we do that through any of our creative adventures. And Shari, I know you through the narrative method.
Yes.
So talk to me. Tell me a little bit. I know you're multi-passionate too, just like me. So tell me all about yourself.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me start with the narrative method. Um, I have been a therapist for a long time. In addition to that, prior, I was a writer and a performer. I see your guitars in the background. I was in punk rock bands.
Oh, no, which ones?
Well, the most famous was Roy Rogers and the Whirling Butt Cherries. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers played their very first gig opening for us.
Oh my God. Now
I know.
there's
I
something.
think it was in
All
about
right, so
19.
I was in a band too.
What band?
Well, I was in Fade to Black.
All
And we
right.
opened for bands like Sisters of Mercy, Lords of the New Church, kind of early goth. I was the grandmother of goth.
Oh, get out of here. That's so cool.
It's
Well,
great.
we will have to check. I was recently at the Rock and Roll Museum in Vegas, and that
Oh,
was amazing.
sweet. Oh, I haven't been
Yeah.
to that one. I went to the Punk Rock Museum in
That's
Vegas.
what I meant. Why
The
did I say
Punk
rock
Rock
and roll?
Museum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my husband is also in there. He's a bass player, and besides playing in my band, he was in No Alternative, which is still
Oh,
putting
nice.
out records. But anyway, we
Fantastic.
digress. We got lots to
Yes, we
talk
do.
about. All right, back to the narrative method.
Okay, so anyhow, I became a psychotherapist in just about 2000, and then about 15 years later, on a whim, we moved to New York because life is short, and why not?
Yeah, well, there you
So
go.
while there, I wound up joining a master's program in a field called narrative medicine. That was at Columbia. And I was so moved by the depth of social justice. And in the medical field, as anyone knows who's over the age of probably 30, uh, doctors are overworked. And you can look at that from a myriad of perspectives. But the bottom line is that patient care has really not been as empathic as it should. So this field called narrative medicine was conceived as a way to teach empathy to doctors through their reading literature and identifying with characters. And it's just so powerful. So I was inspired because of this loneliness gap. This was 8 years before the pandemic, to go back to something I had done when I was a performer, which was I hosted hundreds of live salons in
Mm,
which people could bring themselves to connect with other people and have short bursts of different kinds of performances. The thing I loved about that and really found so important for what I love to do is I could bring people together in a way where they just felt relaxed and disarmed and could let go and laugh their ass off. And so I wanted to bring that to this deeper work. And I created these live salons, starting in New York and then moving back to LA. And these were opportunities for people to come together and share their stories and their hearts and everything that was true for them to be invited to be who you really are. Well, I had insomnia, and I wound up writing these 12 core concepts, which
Good
now I have a book
insomnia.
coming out next spring on HarperCollins about the
Sweet.
narrative method.
Very good.
And
Congratulations.
it is called The Narrative Method, a writing practice for not hating yourself and discovering who you really are. And in it, you get these 12 core concepts, which are really meant to be tools and ways to cope with this crazy world. At the same time, ever since the pandemic hit, we brought our salons online, and we now have 40,000 people who've gone through the program and enriched each other's lives by being real. We don't do small talk. You can just relax. And in my opinion, one of the most important things to understand about the way we are living in this culture right now, which has obviously just gotten faster and faster, um, is that this machine that I call the cult of culture, which even those of us
Cult
who,
of culture. The cult of culture. Oh my God,
thank
that's
you.
so good. Oh.
I love how you framed that. That was excellent. But anyway, it's this thing that is based on a consumer society that teaches us that we are flawed, that we're not good enough. And if there's any chance for us to become good enough, it's by buying those products to get rid of our flaws. We all know it, but there is a real value in being able to deconstruct it and frame it and see how each of us carries shame and reluctance to reveal who we really are. Because if you don't go around saying to people, look, I'm really ashamed of myself for this or that, or I feel less than, we're disinclined to do that. But when you do, when you share your real story, other people can relate and we bond deeply and quickly.
Oh,
And
see, I
so,
am so about that. I love people's stories. That's what
yep,
this is all about. This is all about, and I do it with my in-person gatherings and my online gatherings. We all have something to say and something to share, and we're all needed in the circle, right?
exactly. And, in our case, because we have people coming from all over the country and beyond, it's so diverse in background, and in geography. And we probably all have similar values in that we care about others. Um, And we do skew mostly female. But other than that, the diversity is what I live for. Because when you have a diverse membership of a conversation, you're getting something of a rounded perspective. And that means everything. You and I, we already have so much in common. We probably would agree with a million things. And I love and cherish that. But it's mind blowing to realize that you have all these things in common with a stranger. And boom, we have the capacity. I think of it as starting in the middle of love, which I feel we've done. It's just like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
assuming you're my new best friend. And,
yeah.
let's take it from there. And when we do that, we gain so much bonding and companionship and camaraderie.
Oh,
And it just
and inspiration and growth and expansion.
Exactly. And it just melts your isolation. And it's so, so important these days.
And so, I mean, I know I say this all the time, but we all need to be seen. We all need to be
Yes, of
heard.
course.
And of course, the whole COVID thing put us all inside,
Yeah,
and people have gotten super comfortable being inside
yeah,
instead of showing up.
absolutely. And I mean, particularly for people who are young enough to have lost years of school. Are you kidding me? They were already isolated. Kids nowadays, unless you live in a very small, tight-knit community, you don't go take their bike at 8 o'clock in the morning and come home for dinner. That's not happening.
Yeah,
And
right.
so when we live online, especially if you have very little experience connecting deeper, that's why kids hang out together and they're each talking on their phones.
Talking to each
And
other on their phone.
it breaks my heart when they get blamed for inheriting this world. you know? And so my goal is to invite people to feel safe being who they are, knowing that their differences are often the very things that make them succeed. It may be hard to get to that point, but so it's really an experience of connecting through your creativity
Hmm.
more deeply to yourself and others. So we do creative writing to prompts and
Yeah.
breakout groups, and
Oh
it's
my
really,
gosh, that's so great. You are my sister, I swear to
oh, you said
God.
it.
Yeah, that's so good. But well, you've got a book coming out and you've got this writing group online that you do.
Yes, and we meet about 5 times a week, and the goal is to have 24/7 salons emanating from somewhere in the world with instant translation.
Mm, so
You
good.
should lead one.
I want to.
You're perfect.
I
You
want to.
when we finish, I mean, I'll talk to you about all
Yeah,
the
that's so good. I
dates.
do
Yeah,
I do teach a journaling class every week, which I love.
cool.
Besides, I teach yoga and belly dance,
I
and
love it.
I know movement, momentum, and magic.
Dance is my first love.
Is it?
West Side Story changed
Oh,
woke
see,
me up.
you are my sister. I want to be a jet.
Me too. The greatest.
Oh my God, hilarious. I could break out into song right now, but I won't.
Me too.
Um, that's great. Well, I mean, I just love how you are here to empower everyone to come together. And that's what I do too. Um, and you found a method
Hmm.
that obviously works, and
Hmm.
you're sharing it, would you say, with 40,000 people in your book? And tell me a little bit about that,
About which?
about the narrative method. What?
So the narrative method is based on 12 core concepts. And each of them is meant to be a tool and a way to cope with this crazy world. And I start out by explaining that the problem is the cult of culture, which I think for so many of us has had a far greater impact on shaping us than our families.
Mm,
That's why you see all the time these beautiful families and everything was great when the children were young, and then something gets between them. It's not the parents' fault, it's not the kid, it's beyond fault. It's the very strange and inhuman circumstances we're trying to survive in. So, for instance, the ultimate goal is to be who you really are,
mhm, mm,
separate from the overlay and impositions that others have imposed upon you or that the cult of culture has imposed upon you.
mhm,
We all learn. We're often bullied or we wind up being bullies because we don't understand how to be ourselves and find our real voice. But when you get rid of all the noise and you go deep with yourself, it's anything but frightening. It is just, I think of every word you've used. It's magical.
yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
gift of gifts to discover your voice. And when you have this kind of a listening relationship with yourself, you're never lonely.
Hmm.
And so
Mm,
through these steps, people get the opportunity to better understand why they've responded as they have, why they've longed for some things that may not really be the thing that will bring you happiness. But if you go underneath that, you can get to the underlying drive, and then you really understand yourself. So through practicing radical gratitude
mm,
and through upgrading false ideas or beliefs that were imposed upon you, and learning the skills of relational mindfulness and awe, living in a state of awareness, wonder, and empathy.
yes, yes, yes.
And we can all do these things, and we can't expect ourselves to be perfect 24/7. We're not built like that, and nobody's perfect. But when you have a base, a safe base within yourself to explore yourself and other people, to give your love to other people. It's just so deeply healing and gratifying, and you can become yourself at any age.
I love what you said, a safe base within yourself.
Yes,
It's a starting point or a restarting point for so
exactly.
many
And
people, right?
we always have to restart. I mean, something happens to upset our flow and we have to restart.
Yeah. And I'm like the queen of change. I love change. I love change. And so many people are afraid of it. And I just want to, it's about being curious. We are here to be curious.
I
We are
can't
here
take it. Everything you say is everything I feel.
to
Curiosity is the blessing
it
of
is.
blessings.
It's
What is not in here? Here's an eyeglass cleaner. That's interesting. A cough drop. Everything's interesting.
we. Take so much for granted, you know.
Yes,
I think we're a very spoiled society, and we do take so much for granted. And I mean, even I do. And then I have to stop and go, well, how does that work?
yeah,
Or where did that come from?
yes,
Or who invented that? Right? You know?
exactly.
Um, and I'm so much okay. I'm so much about beauty, my own idea of beauty, not social media's idea of
Yes.
beauty, not the cult of culture, um, to bring in magic every day, to bring in beauty every day, to have everything I have to be my own vision of beauty. Right? How do you feel about
Duh. Yes.
that?
I mean, also, when you look at people's faces and something gets evoked, you may feel jealous. You may feel a longing. You may want to connect to it. That's fine. But to have this narrow idea of what is acceptable, of what is lovable, imposed upon us, by the time you're a child, you know what's wrong with you, as though any of this was wrong with you. And it's just years and years of climbing out of that if you're lucky enough to be rebellious. And as you said, so many people are afraid of change. Years ago, I worked as a legal secretary, and there was someone who sat next to me, and she would always complain about her live-in boyfriend. He treats me mean, he's not nice to his daughter, blah, 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 blah. So one day I said, you leave him. And she goes, I hate change. And
So
there
I'd
you have
rather be a
it.
martyr. I'd rather be a martyr or a
And know
victim
what to expect.
and blame others for the life that I can't have.
But there's one thing I have learned, and it's nobody is at fault for whether it's perpetuating a negative behavior or thought pattern.
Hmm.
We were trained to feel this insecure.
Yeah.
And even though there might not have been a Wizard of Oz underneath planning this out, this machine, this big tech, this big billionaire money, and the lack of humanistic values, it makes it seem that happiness and joy and elation is out of reach.
Hmm.
But no, it's all here 24/7. And when you connect deeply with someone, either through your own expression or witnessing theirs, in that time, you are delightedly happy. You
Mhm.
are perfectly satisfied. We're really a cheap date. We don't need all these bells and whistles.
I love it. Oh my God, that's great. Mm. Um, I always use the phrase to be a possibilitarian.
Love it.
Isn't that a great word?
I love it.
That's one of my, besides curiosity, possibilitarian, some of my favorite words. But to live each day with that. Um,
Yes.
and it does become a practice, especially if
Hmm.
you're not used to stepping into that space for yourself.
Yes, for sure.
you know so okay, so Sherry, tell me, what do you do for yourself for self-care? I love asking people what they do. um,
Absolutely. Well, and I share this in my book and I share this in salons. One of the things I do is I will self-soothe. I've learned over the years. I grew up in a very volatile environment, which made me extremely nervous. But I learned how to self-soothe. And one of the ways that I suggest people do the simplest thing that really works. First of all, when you acknowledge that you have a relationship with yourself, there's your inside and there's your outside. And the outside is your protector, and
Mhm.
the inside is, the wisdom and the part of you that sort of knows what's right. But when we get disconnected from either of those, we don't really function well.
Mhm.
So one thing I will do if I feel anxious is I take my dominant hand and I put it on my heart with enough pressure that I can feel the beating of my heart.
Mm.
So from the outside, I'm taking control. This is me in the world. But from the inside, I feel that nurturance, the mother, or what you'd like to think of it as. And so it's a sort of a double experience of the fearful part can rest because the strength is taking over, and vice versa. And I can bring down my anxiety very quickly. And I will talk to myself. It's okay, honey. I'm here for myself. I'm here for you. There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself or talking to yourself out loud.
Right.
Why wouldn't we?
Well,
Or looking,
and if you do voice it, I mean, I love that because you can think a lot of things. And of course, I'm a big journaler and a writer, as you are, to write it down, but to give it voice, to give yourself a voice
absolutely. And,
out loud.
out loud, because we have so many thoughts and negative thought loops that go, we all know the drill. You think that, then you go there, and then you get depressed, and you eat, and then you go to bed. Uh, but even though we didn't originate certain negative thoughts, the more we think them, because we're just carrying on what was put into us, the more your brain does not distinguish between, oh, that doesn't belong to you, that's someone else's. And so if you think of the thousands of times you've thought, oh, such stupid, why did I do that? Blah, 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 and give yourself opportunities to reverse that with positive affirmations that are truer. It wasn't my intention. It wasn't my fault. I love me. I want to do good. Whatever those things are that need to be provided to your unconscious as inspiration and as the opposite of that negative message, it goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
And it may seem silly to talk to yourself in the mirror, but try it for a week and then see if it has an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do need to talk to ourselves more,
For sure.
you know. Um, it's easy to put things in the way and not listen and not stop and not take the time,
For
to
sure.
breathe, to meditate, to journal, to whatever it is, how you connect with yourself. Um,
To step back and unplug and
yeah.
just let your feelings fly and watch them and jot them down, because sometimes even the smallest inkling, it could be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be possibilitarian. You write that down, not
Yeah.
because you know how you'll use it, but because it's brilliant,
Yeah. There you go.
and you build the practice.
There you go. Okay. So, oh, so good.
Hmm.
Um, what's next for you besides the book coming out?
Well, that I'm actually in the final editing, so that's going should be finished in a month. I'm starting to work on the next two books.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I I do work with organizations as well. So I work with universities, schools. I've worked for years with veterans. And in my experience, this practice is good for everybody. Doesn't mean you'll resonate with it or want to do it, and you shouldn't. I don't like when people say this is the way. There's no way for everybody,
Right.
and we have to all take our voices and our minds back enough to say, I resonate here. I don't like that. So that's so important. But knowing that this is a practice that allows for all individuality. I
Mm,
give very potent prompts for people to write to improvisationally, and they usually blow their own mind because it's
mm.
not like you thought of this before you got there. But if you're not resonating with the prompt, why assume that there's something wrong with you? Maybe I wrote a lousy prompt. Take it where you want to
Where
go.
you go. Yes, exactly.
So it's just really empowering people to be themselves and to be individuals.
It's just good. It's so good. Okay. My heart is like gonna jump out of my body right now. I'm
Mm.
like, guys, yeah, singing to the angels here. Okay, so uh what else do you do besides put your hand on your heart?
Well, I write. I write, I journal, um, I reach out to other people, even though I'm very disinclined to do it if I'm feeling depressed. But when I go out for a cup of coffee or a walk or the smallest thing, it does shift your energy.
Yeah,
And to just know that it's okay to sometimes feel depressed or anxious. Life is depressing and anxiety producing, but we also need to be able to move through that to
exactly.
get to our depth and our possibility.
Right. Well, and we get to make the choice. I think
Yes,
that's the biggest thing is that only you can decide. Only you get to make the choice. You can stay in depression, and it's good to feel that. It's good to go down. You got to go down to go up. I always say that. You got to go
absolutely. And
down to go up.
sometimes,
We
sometimes you
have a
need to have
plethora of
regret.
emotions. Um,
Yes,
so, but you can make the choice to create the change, to shift your energy, movement,
yes.
momentum, and magic.
Movement. Well, I also go to comedy all the
Oh my
time.
gosh, I've watched so
I
much comedy on my
love to
phone.
laugh. I mean, even though I was never officially a comedian, I've done a lot of comedy, and it just it elevates you instantly to a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that this thing that's got a hold on you is not everything. And for that, I just love it.
God, that's so good. Me too. Absolutely, me too. Um, all right. Well, this has been fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here. Everybody out in Heart and Hustle Land, have you heard this? This is such a great conversation. Um, I have a feeling we'll be continuing this conversation.
I am telling you, yes.
And if you have any questions for me or for Sherry, please, I'll give you all her contact information, and you should have all mine because I'm freaking everywhere. But uh, so excited to have this interview or chit chat or conversation, and to move forward with beautiful intention to bring back your joy, your happiness, your connection to yourself.
Yes.
That's first, that's
Yeah.
foremost. And to enjoy, right?
Mm,
And to enjoy to be a possibilitarian.
mm. Love it.
So thank you so much for being here
Thank you
with me.
so much, Paulette.
Oh my
I
gosh,
just
so
love
good.
this.
I'm so high right now. This has just been so great. I get so excited. I love people's stories. That's what I keep saying.
Mm.
Um, and to be able to get to share you with everybody is just a pure delight. So, thank you, everybody out there. Love that you're here and know that I love you. And we'll see you next time.
Lots of love. Thank you.